Good afternoon. Happy, what is it, Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. Oh, we have basketball practice tonight. I forgot about that. My Wednesday's been good. Been a little busy at work. We deployed a new feature. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm gonna check my sound real quick because I'm forever scarred. Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Cool. I had if you're wondering why I'm scarred about my stream audio, it's because I had an incident where I streamed for like 2 hours and the audio and the video were completely out of sync. And I was frustrated about that because then it makes the video pretty much not worth watching. Or being able to really chop up into short form content. So now like every time I start streaming, I check to see, hey, does my audio match my mouth? Okay. So here's what we got on the docket for today. What we're going to do today is we're going to work on a quick little feature for my blog, and then we are going to jump into adding test coverage to our alt text generator API. So let's start with the first one. Let's go to my GitHub. You may not have been here when I did this, but I upgraded my blog. So my blog is just it's a Blazor app, and it just serves markdown files. It's pretty simplistic. And I upgraded it to .NET 9. So let's go over to the actual blog. This is my blog. What I want to do is I want to add a little bit of text right after that title that says something like powered by .NET and then the version, or using .NET and then the version. Just as a nod, right? A nod to the technology that's being used to build the site. And I think it would be cool to then see it change as I upgrade from year to year for visitors that are curious and maybe appreciate that sort of thing. And my blog's for me, so I can pretty much do whatever I want with it, which is the nice thing about having a blog. So here's what I'm thinking. Let me take a screenshot of this. This is probably overkill. Someone's gonna say it's overkill to mock this up, but so I find it's oh god, what have I done? I just swiped away everything. Sorry about that. The chaos. What was I trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to get a screenshot. We can take this into Canva. Just mock it up really quick. Header. You like all my YouTube thumbnails there? It's like the YouTube thumbnail graveyard on my desktop. Take them to Canva. And let's create a new design. It doesn't need to be a specific shape. Just start with this. And let's upload my image. I'm sure there's a better tool to do this kind of work. You know, we could use Figma or something, but I don't think I have Figma set up on this computer. So, did I grab the wrong? Oh, I grabbed the wrong. So basically what I want to do is I basically just want to have some text, right? That's like using .NET 9 in this case. It'll be relatively small. Maybe I put it underneath. Let's see. Let's just change that to white. Like underneath, or I guess I could put it off to the side like this. Or I could put it up top. I don't know. Well, I think bottom actually looks the best. And it could be even smaller than that. What is that? That's 17. Let's make it 12. Yeah, just something like this, right? Really small, simple little. Simple little, you know, tip of the cap. Or maybe it makes sense to put it over here. Maybe we could put it in the corner. I don't know. I can't ever make them. Let's just start with putting it like at the bottom. I don't want to spend too much time on this. All right, so let's go. Let's open a new terminal and go into our new handy best friend, NeoVim, and get started here. I'm gonna turn up I'm gonna turn up the my camera looked a little dark to me. There we go. That's better. That window behind me kind of trips up the camera, I think. Okay. Let's go into the blog. Let's disable read line. Let's make this a little bigger. And then let's open another terminal where we can actually run our blog. So let's go. Put this over here. Make this a little bigger. We'll say cd software. Oh, hold on. Disable read line, and then we'll say cd software blog .net run project, or no, not run. We want watch. .net watch project source blog. And we can come over here, and this will be on port. I think it's port 4500. Yeah, 4500. Okay, let's go back over here. I don't remember how any of the HTML or CSS is done for this header. Let's see, source, blog, components, layout, header. Oh, I bet I don't have a Razor syntax for NeoVim. Hold on, let me close my sidebar here. Okay, let's figure that out. That's a problem, right? NeoVim Razor LSP. Hi, I've managed to make the Razor LSP work and attach. Support for Razor. Oh, cool. It doesn't have code actions, doesn't have code lens or formatting new files. You must install the following. Please see the integration picture. Well, do I want to go down the... I'm not using Roslyn. I'm using something different. Okay, well, for now it doesn't really matter. We can edit this without syntax highlighting. It's not pretty, but it'll work because this was not on my list of things to do today. But we are gonna. Oh, did I start? I already started this. Okay, so this is, I already have this on my list. And oh, this repo is archived. Yeah, and I have this started. Okay, so yeah, maybe at some point we'll go back and maybe we'll migrate our configuration to use Roslyn and then also use Razor. But anywho, all I need to do is I want to add a little using here, right? So let's just start by adding, what should we add here? P tag, I guess. We can do a P tag and we can just say using .NET 9. That. And it's gonna look ugly, but it should work. What have I done? I've completely broken the header. Well, that's weird. Why did that break it? I have no idea why making that edit broke it. It's back. I wonder if it's just a root edit, and it can't. Let's see, using dot. Oh, I wonder if that's because it's a, let's see, .NET 9. Wonder if that's because it's a reserved word. No. It must just be a root edit. Let's see. Let's write that out. Let's go over here. Let's restart. Oh, .NET run --s project source blog. How's your guys' day going? Good? Mine's going well. Nobody ever chats with me on Twitch. I've actually had pretty good interaction though on there we go. I've actually had pretty good interaction on what am I trying to say? I've had pretty good interaction on YouTube live streams. VS Code CSS language server. VS Code CSS language server. Yo, them. Excuse me. Could have sworn I had that installed. Mason. Oh, maybe I don't. Oh, these are all, I'm updating these guys real quick. Let that finish. There we go. Okay, so let's try closing this guy. And then let's try opening it again. Now let's see if we get any okay, so title container, and we'll say dot title container, and we're looking at our p tag. We're going to say font size should be pretty tiny, like let's start with 0.75 rem. Write that out. But this isn't going to hot reload, so I wonder why earlier this wouldn't work though with my, let's see. It doesn't look like my styles are coming through, does it? Title container. There we go. Okay, now it worked. Okay, so let's make it a little smaller. I think it needs maybe half. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, that's small. And let's also make, this is probably going to break it again, but let's make this lowercase. Huh. Let's see. .NET 9 editing component breaks hot reload. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing with developing with Blazor at the moment is that the support for the dev experience is not great if you're not in Visual Studio. And I don't really use Visual Studio at all, but I like Blazor. All right, now we need to position this thing. So what we want to do is for our title container. So our title container, we are going to position it. Position is going to be relative. And then we're going to say position absolute. which should put it now. Weird. Okay, so let's do top. If we do top 0 and right 0, that should put it at the top of our container, right? Let's see. Where are you? Where did you go, you little... Oh no, that's not what I want. Oh yeah, I don't want it relative to the H1. Sorry, that's my bad. I want it relative to the title container. So title container position relative, like that. There we go. And now it's up here. So now what we want to do is we want to say right 0, but we want to actually, let's say bottom 0. I should move it to the bottom of our container. But we need to go a little below that. So we actually need to go, let's go negative, I think -1 rem is going to be too far. Yeah, so maybe 0.25 rem. Let's see, maybe well, you know, maybe I don't even need to absolutely position it. Because I think I can achieve that same effect using good old flex. So actually, let's remove this. Let's remove this. And let's make this be display flex column, and don't worry about the gap right now. No, see, I almost need to do it absolutely positioned, because if I want it to fit, if I want this text to fit snug up against that text, I don't think I'm going to be able to. Okay, let's go back to my original plan. That was working much better already. I mean, that's pretty much what we wanted, using .NET and then the number. Let's see, font family. I guess we should. What is my font for this? I have some, like, where's my app CSS? What's my font set to? Merriweather, sans serif. Yeah, that's fine. Is that too close, you guys think? Let's 0. Yeah, it's a little better. And then, do we want to link to the .NET website? That'd be kind of nice, huh, for people? So we could say href to, what is their website? .net.com. .NET website. I forget what their website is. .NET.Microsoft. And that's gonna have a closing tag, otherwise it won't be right. Which is gonna break my component again, because I edited the markup. Oh no, that worked. Okay. So now I should have a link here. Nice. And then there's a link here which goes to the home page, and then there's a link here that goes to the... I wonder though, is that gonna... Do you think people will find that frustrating if like they go click to my home page and they land... Yeah, maybe I style that differently, because that could be frustrating, right? So we'll say and then we'll say the link, we'll say and, whoops, and we'll just do it underline. But only on hover. Yeah, this way it's kind of clear that, hey, you're gonna click on .NET 9. Okay. Cool. Only took me 30 minutes to add this. I'm so slow. I'm so slow. Oh, and we still haven't though. We need to get this dynamically. And so I think the way I can do that is we can come down here. And we can say, let me close this guy. I think we can say at environment dot version, I think. Yeah, there we go. We need to say .NET. Maybe we say split on the period, then take the first one. So we just want the major. Split. Environment.version.net. Oh, it's an object. Oh, so I can just say I don't even have to do that. I can just say dot major like that. There we go. Nice. Okay, so now it's dynamic. So whenever I upgrade my blog, it should just automatically change. So that's awesome. Okay. Let's get checkout B, Stephen Freeborn, feature, add .NET version to header, push that up. Then we'll say git add everything, git commit, in feature, dynamically display current .NET version. GHPR create. We'll say feature, add .NET version to header. And then this closes, what was the issue number? Number 29. And then we should be able to say checks, watch. And that should run, and we'll just wait for that to pass, and we'll merge it, we'll deploy it, and then we should be off to the races. Should be off to the races. I actually don't know if any of my tests will fail because of that change. Honestly, it's possible. I don't recall any of my tests depending on that. So we'll see. After we do this, we're going to set up test coverage for the alt text generator. That's what we're going to do next. That's what we're going to do next. And it's actually, I mean, setting up test coverage is actually pretty straightforward in .NET projects, which I love. I think even the test project comes out of the box with coverlet installed, which is kind of the coverlet is the I also love that you can just link stuff, right? Just because, so in the PR, because I said that's one of my favorite GitHub features, right? Is so one of my favorite GitHub features is that when you're working on an issue and you open a PR, you can very easily tie your PR to your issue simply by referencing the number of your issue. So in this case, this issue number is 29. And so all I have to do is in my PR, I just have to reference that number in my PR body using a couple keywords. The keyword I always use is the keyword close. And so as long as I say closes number 29, that means one, this PR will be linked to that issue, but then when I merge this PR, it'll automatically close that issue. So one of my favorite GitHub features. It's really, I mean, it seems simple, but it's makes your workflow really nice. Okay, so we'll say gh merge. And then let's go back to our issue and you'll actually see this close. So we'll say create a merge commit, yes, submit. And you saw this issue closed, which is pretty cool. Which I wonder what GitHub uses to update that page in real time like that. I wonder if they're using WebSockets or huh. Yeah, I wonder how they do that. Okay, so now it's deploying. Or it should be deploying. Yep, there it is. It's deploying. So we built the Docker image. We pushed that up to Docker Hub. Now we're logging into my server. We're going to stop the image that's running there now. We'll pull down this new image that we pushed up and run it. Okay, it's deployed. So now, if we go to blog.stephenfreeborn.com, there we go. Looky there. Look at me. Just over here doing things. Yeah. I should fully admit the inspiration for this came from, well, it came from the upgrade that we did, but the person I saw do this is Scott Hanselman's blog has this on there too, and that's actually where the inspiration came from. He put it in the footer, so you can kind of see it's down here. And I'm pretty sure he did a YouTube video where he showed, was it a YouTube video or maybe a talk he gave where he showed this, adding this or including it, but I'm pretty sure this is dynamic as well, like where he's grabbing it from his app while it's running, so it's pretty cool. But that's where the inspiration came from. All right, so that's done. I'm gonna check it on my phone real quick too, just make sure it looks okay on my phone. Yep, looks okay on my phone. Nice. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, I've said okay like 10 times. Let's move on. Let's close that, 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 and close that. And let's maximize this. And we'll say go home. Go ahead and close this guy. Now we'll go to our alt-gen. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add test coverage to this alt-gen API project. We have tests written, and now we just want to be able to have or be able to report on how much of our application code is covered by our tests. So let's go ahead and open up the project. And the nice thing is, since we use the XUnit template from the .NET New CLI, the XUnit test already has the coverlet collector in here. I am going to make sure it's up to date though. So let's open another tab. Let's open another tab. Make this a little bigger so we can all see it. Alt-gen. Let's disable read line really quick. Let's change into our test project. And then let's say .NET add, and the name of it is add package coverlet.collector. I just want to make sure we have the latest version. I think it bumped it. Yeah, it bumped it up to 0.4. All right, now what we need to do is, now that coverlet's here, it's there, so we can use it to collect information. But what I want to do is I want the coverage to be reported on every time we run our tests. So as part of building our project and then running our tests, I want that report to be generated. So coverlet, let's go over to browser. Where is it? Right here. And coverlet code coverage. Here's the repo for that, in case you're curious. but they have an MS Build integration, so that's what we're interested in. So let's find that. So here's our NuGet package, and they have some, obviously some documentation here, but I've used this before, so I'm gonna kind of walk through the process I usually go through to set this up. So what I'll do is I'll just install this package. Where am I? Got too many windows going on here. We'll add that package. So now we've got coverlet collector and we've got coverlet MS Build integration. And then the other package we need, well, actually, I don't think I have to have it as a package because I have it as a global tool. So there's another, so the other tool you're going to need, you may already have it installed, you may not. There is a tool called report generator. And so this tool is going to be able to take the information that Coverlet collects and generate us some nice pretty reports. So we're also going to need this installed. Now there's two ways to install it. You can add it as a dependency, as a package, right? And then that requires that when you execute it, you have to actually specify this path to the report generator. What I prefer to do is I prefer to just install it as a global tool. So where is it? See, report generator global tool. So what I prefer to do is I prefer to use the global tool. So I've already done this on my machine, but just like this. I think it's already installed. Looks like, oh, okay, cool. I already had to install, but I got an update. Okay. So now with that in place, now we have to actually configure, configure coverlet, and then we also are gonna add a target, an execute command in our CS pros that basically says, okay, first thing we do is we want to collect that coverage. Then after we collect the coverage as part of our build, we also want to then generate the coverage report after obviously we've run our tests and the coverage has been outputted and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and set up the configuration. And again, I don't remember this from memory. It's just because I've done it before. So I'm gonna show you how I configure coverlet to work. So this is all predicated on the fact that you're using the MS Build integration. There's other ways you can configure coverlet. You can pass it the collector. You can pass it as part of your command line arguments when you run .NET tests, but this is the way I prefer to do it. I think it's a little bit easier to work with myself than remembering all the right commands. So we'll add a new property group, and in here we're going to put all of our configurations. So we're going to have, the first one's going to be set to collect coverage true, just like Copilot suggested. So that means when we run our .NET tests, we are going to actually collect coverage. Then we're going to say coverlet output format. No, output is going to be in this directory, test results / coverage. Like, well, yeah, like that. So that's going to tell coverlet where to store the coverage that it collects as we're running our tests, what directory. It'll create it for us too if we don't have it. Then we have to pick the output format. There's coverlet supports several different output formats. The one we're interested in is called cobertura. I don't know how to say it. Don't count me off points for that. And then the next thing I do is I usually will do what should be included as part of the coverage. So by default, I usually just do everything under my target applications Yeah, exactly. Just like this. I usually say include, so that means we're going to include everything under the AltGen API namespace. Since this is the AltGen API test assembly, we want to include coverage for everything that's in the project that this code is actually testing, or this project is actually testing. And then the one thing you can also add here is you can also add an exclude by file. There's a couple attributes, but you can add exclude by file. And I will actually usually add program.cs, just because typically you don't have a way of actually covering the code that's written in there. I think I actually have I already have this annotated. So you can also use annotations to exclude things from your code coverage, but I don't think I actually need this if I'm going to put that in my CS proj. So let me remove that. Okay, that should be everything we need for coverlet to collect our coverage. So let's write not quit, just write all. Okay, so now if we run our test, let's run our test suite, dotnet test. We should see, obviously we should see the build, we should see our tests happen, and assuming all of our tests pass, which looks like some of them didn't. Let's see, what's this say? Oh, I did some I did some refactoring on this the other night after I got off stream. So I think does this need to be public? I wonder. Okay, why is it returning 500? Okay, I need to figure out why it's returning 500 so we can move forward with this. I'm gonna cut this out of my video, but okay, for some reason it's the server's returning 500. So let's go into, hold on real quick. Okay, that's that. Okay, that's set there. Okay, let's see. So why we need to go into resources, I think. No, generate. And we need to go into providers, Gemini service. And we need to set a breakpoint here. We need to go to our tests. Right, end-to-end test. Here. And we need to debug this. So I'm not sure, this was working the other night, but I did refactor things a little bit, but I don't see, well, there shouldn't be anything I refactored that I would assume would cause it not to work anymore. Those are the famous last words, right? I didn't change anything that wouldn't make it work. It wouldn't make it work anymore. Oh, the model is overloaded. Please try again later. Okay, so our end-to-end tests are failing because the system is overloaded. Okay, fair enough. So it's not it wasn't something I did. It was just the fact that their API is down, essentially. Which is pretty crazy. So let's toggle that off, and let's go back to the endpoint change I made. So this doesn't need to be public. Okay, so we can still go forward with demoing the test coverage setup. So what we can do is, instead of including our end-to-end test, we can just exclude it. So when we run .NET test, we can say .NET test filter. And we can say doesn't contain this. So put that here. And we'll say, instead of integration test, we'll say end to end. There we go. So that ran everything but our end-to-end tests. And then here you'll see is our coverage. So this is coverlet working, where it basically looked at all of our test code, looked at the lines of our actual program code, and then it spits out a level of coverage by line, by branch, and by method. And I'm guessing that these numbers are going to be higher if I included my end-to-end test as part of the test run, but for now this works. However, the thing you'll say here is, well, this is helpful. What I see on the screen is helpful, but it would also be helpful if I had some kind of more visual, more aesthetic report where I could probably go in and see, okay, what branches haven't I covered, what methods haven't I covered, what lines haven't I covered. And so that's where this report generator tool comes in. And so that's where we're going to go in and further modify our CS proj for our test project to basically have a little executable command that's going to run after a particular target. Whoop. So what we'll put here is, oh, whoops, this is not, we don't want those, we want target. Target, like that. And then our target is actually going to have a name, and we're going to call it generate HTML coverage report. And then we're going to say we want to generate it after targets is going to equal generate coverage result after test. And then we are going to add an exe, which is going to have a command. And I think Copilot has that almost right. Yes, so test results. So this is where we're basically telling the report generator, which is that binary global tool we have installed. We're telling it where it can find our coverage reports, which it can find them in our test folder, right? So if we look at our tree over here, we can see we now have this test results folder. If we open that, we have a coverage folder, and we have our coverage XML right there. So that's what the report generator is going to read in to build this HTML report. Then we're going to tell it where to write that report. So in this case, what's the target dir? We're going to write it back into that test results folder, back into the coverage folder under HTML. And then the one thing I am going to specify here is I'm going to add another flag, which is report types, and that's going to be HTML dark. And that needs a quote around it, like that. And you may be wondering, Stephen, how did you figure this out? Or like, how did you find all these? Like, how did you find how to configure coverlet? And how did you find out how to use the report generator? I just purely referenced their documentation. So report generator, like I showed you, has a website. that you can use. It has all the getting started, usage, how to apply it, all that good stuff. See, here's the usage. So it'll actually, you can actually kind of like interactively walk through building the command, right? So where are your reports located? Where do you want your HTML to be written? You can specify the report type, right? HTML or HTML dark. You can it's got several different types of reports that it will generate for you that you can use. But in my case, I just want the HTML one. And then the coverlet MS build configurations, coverlet MS build, CS proj config. Let's go to that NuGet package, and that's all covered here in their documentation. So you can see they actually show using report generator to do the configurations. But yeah, so I just read the documentation. I mean, I don't want to try to make myself out to be like a genius or like that. I knew exactly how to do this and remember it all by memory. No, I just referenced the documentation, and then this is pretty much this. I use this same configuration really again and again from project to project. So once you have it, you can just copy paste it when you set it up for the next guy. So with all this here now, we should be able to go back, we should be able to write this all out, and we should be able to go back here and run that same test command, and everything should pass. It should generate our coverage, and then we should see another output where it actually generates the report, which I don't see that. So what did I type wrong? Report generator. Generate coverage result after test. Did it not? Oh, it did. Yep. So it did write it out. So it just must have happened so fast. Let me regenerate. So I think you can see it over here on the right. It spun for a minute and said generate HTML coverage report, and that means it actually outputted that HTML file. So now what we can do is we can open that up. So let's just use a little node package, npx live server, and we'll say test results, coverage, HTML. We'll just serve that folder. And there you go. And so now you have this really pretty HTML file, and you can use it to kind of explore the different parts of your coverage that aren't covered or are covered. So like here, I can see the Gemini request. It seems to think that I never actually construct the Gemini request, but I do. I think the Indian tests would cover this, I believe. But you can go, like, if you have a really big project, right, you can see how helpful this would be to kind of find the edge cases that your test cases don't cover. And you can actually group this by namespace, right? So you can actually, let's see. I guess I just have the one namespace. Oh, right here. So you can group it by assembly, by namespace, and then you can go deeper, so you can go different levels. So you can kind of see how each namespace is even covered. So this is really helpful. What I use this a lot for is I'll write the test, I'll do initial implementation, and then I'll run my tests, and then I'll generate this report, and I'll start perusing the places in the report that aren't covered, and that starts to identify, oh, I need to add a test to cover that edge case. I need to add a test to cover this edge case. And it makes it much, you can add tests with much more precision and with much more logic, and have a better understanding where the gaps are. And then you can also make informed decisions about, do I need to add a test for that edge case? Am I okay accepting that those lines aren't covered for a particular set of reasons? Maybe it's just a really far out there edge case. Maybe it's not high risk. Maybe it's low traffic, something like that. But just a really helpful thing to set up with any .NET test project or any .NET project in general. So you're not kind of writing tests blind. I mean, obviously you're writing tests against some implementation that you're implementing, but this turns it into something visual that you can see, and you can start to actually have some information about, oh, maybe there's something here that I shouldn't, like, here's a good example where I am obviously testing this method pretty thoroughly, but there's a case I haven't covered, which is what if this throws? Like, what if this is actually null? What if the resource isn't there? We're going to throw this exception. So should I have a test that does that? And what would it take to be able to have that test, right? I probably can't be calling assembly.get executing assembly straight from within this getter, because I have no way of mocking out or controlling the response to get manifest resource stream, right? So I might have to actually introduce some sort of wrapper around it to be able to mock that test. And then you can make a decision for yourself: is that worth it? Should I spend that time, or am I okay with that particular branch being uncovered? So that's how you set up test coverage for your .NET projects. The three tools again that I used are coverlet, MS build, or I guess coverlet, the collector, coverlet, MS build integration, and then the report generator to actually generate our HTML report. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you guys put that to use and get something out of it as well. I know I have. I know once I figured out how to do this, it's one of the things I love most about writing programs in .NET is I know I'm going to have a really great test experience, and I'm going to have a really great test coverage experience, and I can set it up all pretty quickly and get it up and running, and I'm off to the races. So hopefully you find it the same. Okay, I think that's going to do it for streaming today. We actually got quite a bit done. We set up test coverage for the AltGen project. We set up coverlet. We set up MS build integration, which is awesome. Maybe let's see if Gemini's back up. .NET test. Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's still down. And that's one of the that's a good example of why like end-to-end tests are great. But you know, they introduce factors that you can't control. So if you had this test suite that I have right now running in a CI/CD pipeline, it would be failing right now. Not because anything that we did, but because it has external dependencies. So that's something to take into account when you are introducing end-to-end tests like that into any project, is you're going to have to deal with issues like that from time to time, and you probably need a way to work around that, right? So if this was in CI/CD, you probably need some way of flipping to skip over end-to-end tests temporarily, or omit certain tests temporarily that have those external dependencies. So let's write all this out. Write quit all. And what do we say? Lazy git. Yeah. Oh, I deleted that. I don't need that HTTP file. I don't use that. And then program CS, I just removed the code coverage. And then coverlet. And then we added the configuration for... Is this still in there? I don't want to. I wanted to remove that to do. Yeah, let's remove this because we did that. We don't need that to do in there anymore. Yeah, and so we can commit all those, and we can say what can we say? We can say tests, add test coverage, and then we can push that up. And then we can get out of here. All right, cool. That was a productive day on stream, a productive use of the lunch hour. Added a feature to the blog, added some test coverage. I mean, that API is the next couple times we work on it, the only thing left I want to do to that API is I want to add rate limiting for the by IP address, and then after that I want to build a Docker file. We can put together a GitHub workflow and get it deploying out on the server, and then we can move on to a client application for it. I know my progress on it's been kind of slow, but honestly, the only time I've been working on it has been on stream. So I basically have put in like 4 or 5 hours into it, all the while on stream doing other things. So I feel like we've made pretty good progress with it. It's just kind of limiting how fast you can move something along when you only work on it when you stream. So maybe that's not something, I don't know, maybe that's not something I do or stick with, because I don't know how interesting it is to work on the same thing many days in a row for people. It might not be, maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not, I don't know. There's no chatters in my stream to tell me, but that's something to think about. Maybe we use the stream time to do more like learning and research related activities and not as much actual dev time. Maybe I do like small amounts of dev, but mostly like do the dev off stream and then demo it and experiment with it and explore it on stream. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm trying all kinds of different kinds of content. I streamed on YouTube earlier today, just kind of seeing what people enjoy and like. Half the fun is half of the reason to do any of this is for me. It's as much as it is for you guys. The stream is a good way for me to focus and to apply some time every day to projects like this and have something to be accountable to. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. I'm gonna hop off here, get back to it. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday, and I'll see you next time.